All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a road, a really important promise, and a deadline that, well, has officially come and gone. This is the story of the Shillong-Dawki Road, a project that was supposed to be this huge leap forward for Meghalaya. But as you'll see, the story is a lot more complicated than that. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what so many people are feeling. We've hit the big deadline. December 2025 is here, and the question on everyone's mind is painfully simple. Do we have a highway, or are we just going to get another press conference filled with excuses? And that right there is the million-dollar question we're going to try and answer in this explainer. What exactly happened to the highway? Where did things go so wrong? Let's follow the trail and see if we can piece this puzzle together. Okay, first things first, we need to understand just how high the stakes are here. Because this isn't just about a traffic jam or an inconvenient detour. The failure to finish this road is a massive economic problem. And it comes with a seriously hefty price tag. See, this was never just about a strip of pavement. It's been called a critical economic artery. The whole point of the Shillong-Dawki Road was to be a lifeline, a superhighway for trade connecting Meghalaya directly with Bangladesh, boosting the whole region's economy. So, what happens when a critical artery gets clogged? It's a disaster, right? Instead of a free-flowing channel for commerce and opportunity, you get a massive bottleneck. The very project that was designed to speed things up is now the very thing slowing everything down. It's a total logistical nightmare. And here's where it really starts to hurt, right in the wallet. Experts in infrastructure projects estimate that for every single year this thing is delayed, the total cost shoots up by another 10 to 15%. And that's not a one-time thing. It's a compounding penalty that just keeps growing, all paid for by the public. Yeah, that 10 to 15%, you can think of it as a delay tax. And it's a tax that everyone pays. It means trade potential gets strangled before it even starts. The cost of moving goods goes through the roof. The state becomes less attractive for business. And what was supposed to be a booming corridor of commerce is stuck as just a corridor of dust. So we've got this massive delay tax piling up, costing everyone more and more each year. But how on earth did we get to this point? To figure that out, we need to look at the official story. The directives, the promises, the paper trail, and stack it up against the dusty reality on the ground. Just look at this timeline for a second. It tells a frustrating story. Back in August, alarm bells were already ringing about how slow things were moving. So in September, we get a strict directive from the Deputy CM, finish it by December. Well, now it's December, and suddenly the goalposts have been moved all the way to 2026. It's a classic cycle of warnings, promises, and more delays. And let's be crystal clear about the language that was used here. The directive wasn't to make some good progress or try your best. The public promise, the official word, was to complete Package 1 by December. That is a very specific, very unambiguous commitment. So you've got this huge divide, right? On one side, you have the official story, strict directives and promises of completion. And on the other side, you have the reality. A construction site covered in dust and delays, with deadlines being pushed even further into the future. The gap between what was said and what's actually happening is just enormous. And that huge gap brings us right to the heart of the matter. Because when there's such a massive difference between what's promised and what's delivered, you have to start asking some pretty tough questions. The kind of questions that can't just be brushed off with a press release. So let's start with the absolute basics of accountability. Big contracts like this almost always have penalty clauses for missing deadlines. It's standard practice. So the question is simple. What does the contract for the Shillong-Dawki Road say? Is there a penalty for this delay? And if so, has anyone actually enforced it? And then there's the tricky game of words. Is the road actually complete? Like fully finished with all the safety features, proper surfacing, the whole shebang? Or is it just motorable, meaning you can technically drive on it, but it's far from being done? That distinction is absolutely huge. I mean, just think about this in any other situation. If you hired a builder to work on your house and they were years behind schedule, would you just keep giving them more time and more money? No way! You'd fire them, right? So why is the standard any different for a massive, publicly funded project? And really, all of these other questions boil down to this one final, incredibly important question. Because this is about so much more than just one road. When a public promise is broken on this scale, who is actually held accountable? Because without an answer to that question, a corridor of dust isn't just an unfinished highway, it's a symbol of broken trust.